Education. Next on our agenda, nothing under Board of Education. We do have our consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
The motion to approve this consent agenda as presented has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments for board discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is passed. Next on our agenda is our superintendent's report. Carrie?
Sure. So my first item on the superintendent's report is just a mention of our visit. For those of you that weren't in attendance, the board got to take a quick trip through the new middle school to see the space. It is beautiful and almost just really fine touches, putting up the rest of the pop-up tile, getting furniture in it, but it definitely looks like a school, and I'm so excited for our middle school students and staff. It has been a long time since they've had a space that they could truly call a school. You know, they've had a modular with 6 rooms for a very long time, so well-deserved and overdue. Other projects that are in the planning stage include the restroom concession stand that we have had designed for the space. It's going to be located at the south end of where the relief nursery is so that it will be accessible to our football, softball, and baseball. Part of the construction and design will include a wheelchair accessible ramp to the lower level. The ramp we have right now that leads from the back end of the school, we have kind of the little zigzag. It is not to current code. We're not required to improve it unless we were doing a remodel, but the slope is way too steep. So we are going to create ADA parking down by the softball field, and we'll have a nice concrete ramp that will come up to the restrooms and also lead to the bleacher seating at the track. We also are putting out a request for qualifications for a pre-engineered metal structure that will go down at the track where the old high jump pit was. We're asking for a request for qualifications for a 75 by 120 foot play structure. It'll be very similar to what's over at the elementary playground. It'll have 2 sides. We're going to have lighting though, and some storage for playground equipment, PE equipment. 2024 bond proposal has been sent to Yamhill County. It was published last week in the News Register. So it will be in the voters pamphlet in the May 2024 election. I did attend a recent meeting for the Willamina or the West Valley Fire Board. They are going out for a levy. It was a really great meeting. Chris Greenhill is the president of their political action committee. Shared information about their grant, and he's fully supportive of the school bond as well, so grateful to that, and indicated that he would share any information about our bond as they campaign for the fire levy as well. Finance, we're still looking for a few budget committee members. If you know of anyone that would like to volunteer now that we have a nice group here. We do need 2 committee members. If you ever wanted to learn all about school financing and budgeting, it's a great opportunity. We have several Monday meetings. It usually it's not a huge time commitment, but we have 2 vacant positions. If you're interested, if you are, you can talk to April at district office and she can get you an application. With that being said, Lisa Anderson, our business manager, and I have started the budget process for next school year. Part of that process is that we meet with Willamina ESD and resolve for any services that we purchase through them. And some of the services we purchase are things that we wouldn't necessarily need a full-time person to provide, for instance, a school psychologist or occupational therapist, physical therapist. Some of our students with disabilities do need those services as part of their individual education plan. So we can resolve for services with Willamina ESD and just pay for the amount of service we need rather than full-time staffing in those areas. We also receive some of our technology and business services. Right now we have a technology assistant that comes during the day to help support Mr. Booker. We also, our student software system, our attendance system, registrar system, all is hosted by Willamina ESD. So that we're in that process right now. Reporting and compliance, we will be entering in discussions with the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde education staff to shore up our tribal consultation process. Over the last 5 years, the Oregon Department of Education has developed protocols for tribal consultation to facilitate systematic processes for tribes and schools to co-develop plans. Some of the plans that we are required to consult on are all of our federal title programs, Title I, which is based on poverty level, and it's one of the things that coincides is typically lower achievement levels when you have high poverty levels. So we receive additional funding to support supplemental services for literacy, and why we hire Title I reading specialists at the elementary level to help support additional reading instruction. We also have Title II programs, which is teacher professional learning improvement services plans, and Title III English language learner plans. There's a lot of titles. I don't want to hear all of them, but we will be working with the tribe to make sure that there is an opportunity for meaningful collaboration on these plans. For the board members, I've included in your packet a summary of the plans that we will be consulting on. The district leadership team, last meeting we discussed our multi-tiered system of support for mental and behavioral health supports. We have applied for a Stronger Connection grant through ODE. This grant would provide $750,000 for 2 years to support and enhance our support services for students and families in the area, also and addressed through our Title IV programs. This includes healthy lifestyles, drug and violence prevention, suicide prevention, mental health counseling, social and emotional learning, family engagement, and dropout prevention. Also included that in your packet, a summary, and a copy of the application grant that was submitted. When we get to discussions, I will talk about summer learning grant and the unemployment budgeting. The legislative session is over, so when we get to that, I will just share some highlights of the legislative session that will impact education moving forward. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Carrie. Next up will be Sarah with our principal's report. All right. That's right, you are first, correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna step over here though, just because I feel like there's other people. Okay. We had quite a few professional development opportunities this last month. The first big one, with a generous financial assistance from the Willamina Education Service District, we were able to attend a Creating Trauma-Sensitive Schools conference again. It was a fantastic conference last year, and this year we were able to take one of our behavior coaches, Monique Keeling, to it. Dr. Ross Green, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's fantastic. He was the keynote presenter. and really just talked a lot about behavior intervention and that what we're doing is the right thing, and just kind of refueled us. But there was a lot of good sessions. One of the ones that stuck out to me was healing Native American trauma through art. And then also Tier 3 behavior supports, which is really where we are struggling this year. So hoping to put some stuff in place and boost up programs, but it was phenomenal. The other thing we had was for all staff, the school-wide English learning. This is Sandy DeBetta and TJ Weiss. They have been presenting to our staff about every month. This one was on how to identify the language needs for multilingual learners. And really what we're going with, there's a very few number of kids with limited English proficiency here at the school or in the district, but these are good strategies for all kids. So it's really benefiting us a lot. And then the other one we had as a full staff was Zoe Holsclaw, who does the Shinnequawa class up at the high school, came down during the 2:30 time and presented a Shinnequawa 101 lesson for our staff. She brought the high school class with her, which was awesome because it turned them into the teachers and they could help teach their old teachers how to speak Chinook. But it was awesome. They taught us the alphabet, how to pronounce common blends, and a few words. So a big shout out to her. Behavior I will come back to. But actually part of it, we started our kindergarten PAX Master program with our kindergartners this past month. So in other words, the PAX Masters, we're looking for them just to be self-managers throughout the day. These are the kids that we can count on to self-manage. But it's really been impactful for our kindergartners. So we've been celebrating every Friday in the cafeteria with little fruit snacks or cookies. And then they get to have a 30-second dance party. Every once in a while, pork chop shows up. But it's really been nice to see them working toward making those positive choices. We were counting for a while and then trying to beat it. The first week we had 28, the next week we had 36. And then we lost count because of like class parties and stuff like that. But it's really cute. The high school kids, last week they were setting up for the neon dance. And they turned on the disco lights for them. It was so cute. That made their whole day. Upcoming events, we just finished Classified Staff Appreciation Week last week, which I'll report on next time. Finished up the 4th grade NAEP testing, which is a national assessment. Fire drill, spring break, Easter, not a whole lot going on. Our enrollment is holding steady at 362. And then I wanted to share a little bit, just like I did our multi-tiered system of support for literacy. This is what we've got in place for behavior as far as a multi-tiered system of support. So I'll let you guys really look through this, but if this is kind of the big one. The supports that are down on the bottom of the triangle are supports in green. That's what every kid has access to. If they find that they are still needing more support, then they go up to the middle tier, tier 2, and that's in yellow. So those are the supports that we can offer them at tier 2, skill building, behavior tracking, counseling if it's applicable, visual schedule, behavior coaches as a preventative measure. And then for our kids that still continue to struggle, the tier 3 interventions are our most restrictive, and those are up top. IEP at 504 if it's applicable, crisis plan, daily check-ins with our behavior coaches, and then our tier 3 win room supports, which is really, it's not a class placement or a self-contained class, but it's really targeted instruction specific to their behavior needs. And we're still kind of refining that program a little bit, but it helps with early intervention and really building those skills right where they need them. A little bit on collaborative problem solving. So this is what we follow for conflicts within the building. If kids are fighting over a ball at recess, if so-and-so stepped on so-and-so's hand, but it was an accident, the kid doesn't think so. This is what we follow. And in the echo room, we try to follow collaborative problem solving. There's a form to go through it. But what it does is it helps the kids identify what they were feeling and listen to the other person. This is what the continuum is, what we follow in the office. It helps to put tools in our toolbox so that we don't instantly go for exclusionary discipline. So making sure that we're following in there, it's not in step or anything like that. It's just, okay, what can we do to help this kid next? What is something that we haven't tried before? Have we tried a functional behavior assessment? Have we talked to the counselor? Do we have a visual schedule? Just making sure that we don't miss those steps when it helps to supporting kids is in tier 2 or tier 3. And the very last one, I brought you some data. We use the DESA, which is the Devereaux Student Strengths Assessment. And our teachers do a rating on all of our kids 3 times a year. So October, January, and May. And it addresses all their skills. The little one is 7 questions. If they score where they have strengths, mostly strengths, or in the typical range, they leave it at that. If they show that they need more support, we go into a DESA full, which has 80 plus questions. So we can kind of drill down as to what skills we need to work on. This is the data that our behavior coaches use to work with individual students on helping them to boost those skills and using their strengths to help them. So this is our mid-year data. You can kind of tell it's just broken down by grade level. The strengths are in the green. The typical range is blue, and then our kids that show need for instruction are down in the red. So I can give you the end of the year data too, but I thought that this was just a good visual to show you what our schools are. So, and I think that's it. Any questions?
The situation we had last month.
Yeah.
Did we get that taken care of?
I hope so. Is it ever taken care of because they're kids? I will tell you that it is better. I haven't had any more parent concerns. What we ended up doing is with a few of our students have increasing parent meetings, moving to those next steps that you see on the continuum. Okay, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. We did have to move to a more restricted schedule with one of our students. But we just really increased those tier 2 and tier 3 supports. And then the other thing we did was start to recognize the kids that are making positive choices, like the PACS Master program for kindergarten, hoping that students can start to make those good choices and be recognized for it and give them something to work towards. So in my opinion, it's better. We haven't had any more, in fact, I don't think we've had any class clears or any of those. They're still kids. They still have behaviors, but we are working on it. Behavior intervention is slow, but absolutely. Great question. Any other questions?
No.
All right, thank you.
All right, Jamie, with the middle and high school report.
So I just, our professional learning, we're also doing the swell with Sandy and TJ. They came this morning and did one with us. That was great. And so it's around like just like language, academic vocabulary, writing, all the skills that are good for all of our students. Our office staff is they're starting the process of their deep professional learning around the new Synergy student information system that we'll be moving to. So they're entering into weekly trainings, and then we're looking at making that crossover for next year and how that interfaces with what we're doing right now and with master scheduling and things like that. Our 12th grade PLC, each grade level presents a 3-week module for our staff to do on Mondays, and the 12th grade focused on college and career readiness. And so the students are going to be able to access the Career Information System, CIS, which is a really great tool for career exploration, and you can use it for a number of things. It's free to all schools in Oregon, and something that we've been wanting to kind of bring out. And so I'm really thankful that this group kind of, made that their focus. And then the students are going to be able to explore that, also create a resume. And then on next Monday, we're going to host, at least to my knowledge, maybe there was one before, but our first college and career fair here at the school, which our students have gone to a few of them out in other places. And so It has really taken fire in that I think they have like 40 vendors that are coming to, but some of them were, they heard about it and so they reached out and asked if they could be a part of it. Some of them are former graduates that have gone on to do different things that want to come back and share with the students. So some community members and then people from outside. So I just think it's one of those things when you take a risk and you try to, and you do something, there's that like moment of like, oh my gosh, what's this gonna look like? It's kind of messy. There's gonna be things that you're gonna go, oh, next time, we wanna do this, but I'm just, applauding. I applaud anybody that's willing to take those risks for our kids and make them, give them opportunities for something cool. So our 6th through 12th grade will get to go through the college and career fair next Monday from 11 to 2-ish. It's set up, so that's fun. I just wanted to recognize also our classified staff. I know there has been a lot of amazing recognition this last week of our classified staff, but honestly, like during this time in education where it's so very challenging and we have so many needs, they step in numerous ways, and I just think that often wear a lot of different hats, take on a lot of different responsibilities. And so we're lucky. We have a great custodial staff. We have a great lunch staff. We have great instructional assistants, our office people. It's just, they really help. They like fit all the things and help keep us together. So, speaking of taking a risk, I do want to thank Carrie, because when I get emotional about this stuff, I'm sorry, but when our boys made it to the state tournament in Pendleton, I come from a district where we used to go to the state tournament every year. It was the culture, it was expected, the community expected it, and I just think it's such an amazing opportunity. And so when our boys made it to Pendleton, we brought a crazy idea to her about, making it so that our staff and students could go support our basketball team and represent our school district. And it required a lot of work to make that happen. As far as the way that we had to structure things, it impacted everyone. And I just want to say thank you for allowing us to look at that, and all the people that that didn't get to go, that helped make it happen here. But I have to say that, like, it was such an amazing experience, and it was such a proud moment for me as the principal to see our pep band was just like phenomenal. And they, like, I'm so proud of them anyway. Like, every game I just love hearing them, and I try to like spend time with them, because it's like I get just as much joy out of that as watching the sport and just watching them perform. But to bring a pep band all the way to Pendleton from here on a bus, and our band director, Ryan Lewis, he was sick that week. He pulled it together. He was able to get a hold of the kids, and he made it happen. And they played. They were amazing. We had another school, Eastland Christian, that joined our pep band on the second game. And then they invited our kids to play with them on Saturday. And so there was a moment after the second session when we had lost our second game, and we had to leave, because you have to leave after the session to come back in. And so we had to all leave, and we were out in the foyer, and the band walked through as they were going to put their stuff away, and everyone just like applauded them. And it was just like, it was so awesome, because you could just see the pride in the fact that they were being seen and heard, literally, and also just appreciated and valued. And they were so excited, and they were like, we're gonna stay one more day, and we're gonna play with this other school. And Mr. Lewis then informed me that they made connections, and they might be doing some other things together because of that experience. And then on top of it, our fans, our students that got to go to the game as well, and just watching them like learn how to be a fan in that setting is different when you've never experienced it. And our staff that was there like took the lead in helping get some like chants like going, and the kids really picked up on it. And then our parents and our community. It was just overall, I would say, like, Willamina shined in that weekend. And And a lot of people said really nice things about our district and our school. And we had a Rooter bus that drove there. Thank you, Roy, for driving it. And then we had Brenda Shank and Zach Spink, who were willing to go as chaperones, not knowing where we were sleeping. Could have been on a gym floor, could have been, wherever. Luckily, we landed at a church that had a little more amenities and maybe some comfort. But I mean, to ride a bus that far and to stay those nights and to be with kids, it's a lot. And I'm so thankful for that. And then Roy also for driving our Rooter bus for wrestling. That was another very proud moment to be able to, we had Rachel Bevins and Shane Thomas also went as chaperones, and I got to ride the bus too. And just to see our kids, some of them that maybe hadn't been to many wrestling meets, but they were just in awe with like what was going on. And I think our wrestlers were really appreciative when they came up and saw that they had this group of people that were supporting them. So I guess for me, sometimes it's just one kid or one moment when you just think like, this is like a really big deal. Like it makes all of it worth it. So I just want to say thank you, because if you wouldn't have said yes, we couldn't have done it. So thank you. So yeah, I just think those are just really good community like strengtheners and like just culture builders. And so proud of our basketball team. Like, I don't know if you got to watch the games, but they played so hard and they played so well, and they I don't know, like they shined, and they didn't get the outcome they wanted, but wow, they just left us all like in awe. And I think like Jerry and Chris that, had to help do a lot of some of the behind the scenes planning and stuff too. And so it takes a big village to pull something like that off. And then I just wanted to add, it wasn't on the original one, but I got the opportunity to observe a classroom last week, our lead classroom, which is our alternative high school, where the students will take they're in there for credit recovery, or if they're trying to get caught up in their credits. It's an alternative environment for them. It's set up in a way for them to be productive and to goal set and to be able to like meet their goals. And this year has just been exceptionally successful for our kids, and they've earned a lot of credits, and they've been very focused. And so when I was in there, they have it posted in the wall, how many classes and how many credits have been earned up to date, and they all have certificates for every student who has contributed to that all around the room. And I thought that was cool. But to date, they've completed 137 classes and have earned 74 credits. And then the credit recovery, there's one period of just credit recovery where students might be in other classes and then they go there. They've completed 22 classes and 19 credits. So I just think that's amazing, because these are kids that might otherwise not be able to graduate or earn their credits in a different way. And just the vibe out there was just really relaxed, and kids have a lot of agency in how they work and how they use their time, but also like there's this sense of like, here's your goal, and they work together. So I just wanted to give a shout out for that, because sometimes those are moments that don't get seen as well as much. And then our True Bulldog challenge for middle school and high school was a big success. We got to go to the movie theater, and they got to watch a movie. And thanks again, Roy, for driving for that. He's kind of our catch-all bus driver. But that was for our students with a 3.0 GPA, average 0 detentions or behavioral referrals, and 0 unexcused absences, and no more than 2 unexcused tardies. So it was a really great group of students, and they had a really good time. And then just finally, we're starting master scheduling and the process, and I think I might have mentioned this last month, but basically we're in the process of setting up meetings with departments and different grade level groups just to talk about where we're going. And we met with the 7th and 8th grade team this week, and just looking at the potential for adding some really solid reading and math intervention for our students at that level, that's really purposeful and directed to really help our students at, I think I mentioned last time, you learn to read in elementary, and then you read to learn in the secondary, and if you didn't get where you needed to be, there isn't really a lot in between. So we're trying to infuse that and see where we can make that work in our schedule. So, any questions?
Thank you.
The one thing, the guy at the back
Oh.
door that checked us in and out,
Oh, yeah.
he's on the roundup committee, and he's like, we'd love to have your kids.
He told me that too when I was over being a
Yeah,
band.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's
Band? Or the,
the band. Yeah.
looking around.
Yeah, he's in charge of the parade at Pendleton Roundup.
Oh,
Mhm. Yeah. Yes. And
Saturday.
yes, and I will not talk about Roy's wicked backup skills. But they were wicked. It was impressive.
We're following a semi-driver that told me to pull over, and I did. And we were dragging one of those drop-down chains.
Oh yeah, that was the other.
Cut it off, Boris. I don't know.
Thank you. Next up is Stephanie with our tribal report.
Yes, it's okay, do I sit or
Yeah.
sit?
Is
Okay.
that right?
Hi, everybody. So some of the ways that the tribe has collaborated with the school district this month have already been mentioned, so that's exciting to hear. Carrie's talking about us strengthening our tribal consultation, and then Sarah mentioned Zoe Holzclaw coming out and doing the Chinook, and then our academic coach, Shane Thomas, was able to go on that wrestling trip, and that was really special. The main share out I have is a recent collaboration for the college and career fair this Monday. My program, the youth education program, along with the adult education program at CTGR, along with Chemeketa, along with teacher Kaylee Kidd, we're all working together to host a workstation table for all seniors to come and do their FAFSA application, their OSAC scholarships if they'd like, the Oregon Promise Grant if they'd like, apply for Chemeketa if you haven't yet, as well as apply for some specific Chemeketa scholarships. So we're really excited to be working together on that. And then additionally, TAP family advocate here, Rebecca Arredondo, and I have just begun discussions about how we can collaborate to do more incentives for our attendance program, specifically kind of focusing on 6th through 8th graders. So that's kind of everything that has been done this month or is in the works. And yeah, thanks for having me here tonight.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Next up on our agenda is Ryan with our student report.
Just in time.
Wrestling
Wrestling award just got done. So for leadership, we are currently finishing up preparations for the carnival, which will be on March 20th from 5 to 8 p.m. We've been going around town asking for donations for 2 liters and baked goods for our cakewalk and our pop bottle toss. Track and field has their opener meet at Nestucca this week. Over 20 athletes are out this year and have been supported by Gallagher's Fitness Resources, which donated training shoes for this season. We will be hosting a javelin clinic and 4 home meets in April and a youth track meet in May for ages 12 and under. Baseball and softball teams are also practicing, and I don't know when the first softball game is, but baseball we play Thursday, Friday. And there's like 30 guys out this year. There's a bunch of us. Softball.
It's the 19th and it's home against Dayton.
Wrestling, we just had our awards. We had our first girls state champion, Zoe Brewer. And we had a couple people, or we had one person take second for the boys, but we also got second as the team for the boys. Girls basketball, the girls basketball team traveled to Enterprise for the first round of state playoffs, and unfortunately they lost. Boys basketball team traveled to Pendleton for the state tournament and lost both of their games. We have not had a team make it in several years, and it was a tremendous moment for our Bulldog athletics. We even had the band, which we haven't had, I don't think, ever, and several fans go and support on the Rooter bus. Lainey DeLoe just signed a letter of intent to play softball at Chemeketa Community College, And I will be sending my letter of intent to play football at Pacific here pretty soon. I was also selected for the East-West Shrine Bowl game, which is in July, so that's pretty cool. FFA District Beginner Public Speaker Rebecca Neese got second at district and qualified for sectionals with her speech. Our chapter scrapbook received third place and was made by Lily Pro. In job interview, Gracie Dunn got sixth place. In FFA Creed speech, Jane got sixth place. Our conduct of chapter meeting team, Parley Pro, got second at districts and qualified for sectionals. Creed speaker Rebecca Neese earned first place at districts and qualified for sectionals. Our conduct of chapter meeting team competed at sectionals, earning third place. Our Creed speaker Rebecca Neese earned a third place at sectionals. We have 13 students going to FFA State Convention, many competing in a variety of areas. McKaylee Floyd and Gracie Dunn are receiving their FFA State degrees, the highest level of membership that a student can get at the state level. Our FFA annual banquet will be Saturday, May 11th. Horticulture's annual plant sale will be May 10th and May 11th. And then the First Step Medical Club had a CPR class today. They will be earning their CPR card. They will be going on a field trip Wednesday to the Oregon State Hospital Museum of Mental Health. That is it for me.
Thank you. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, we're not today, so no one knows.
All right, next on the agenda is time that we have set aside for audience input.
I'm so
Please
excited.
understand, citizen input on non-agenda items shall be limited to 3 minutes per person, with a total of 30 minutes allowed per topic or item. Speakers may provide objective commentary or criticism of district operations and or programs. If you do have complaints about individuals, we do ask that you follow our school district board policy and our complaint process as outlined on the website, and reach out directly to the district office for guidance on filing any complaints that you may have. We are opening up the floor to audience participation.
Please state your
Please.
name too before
I'm
speaking.
Lisa Conley, the current class president for 2024, and I believe we should have graduation held outside. And I've created a petition explaining why we should, and currently we have 40 students that have signed it. It says the class of 2024 is a large class with 80 students currently. The class of 2023 had 60 students, and even then it was crowded in the gym. Many families had to watch their relative graduate in the crowded hallway. If graduation is held outside, everyone would be able to see every student graduate. It is a vital day for the students that are graduating that everyone should be invited to without any stress. If graduation is held outside, everyone will be able to appreciate and enjoy the 2024 graduation. My mother had an idea of having graduation held at the Confederate Tribes Green Lawn Travel Grounds, so that is a possibility that I think we should explore.
Thank you. Does she need to submit the petition? Is this?
Yeah, if you can send it into district office too, in case, yeah.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who has something that they would like to bring before the board?
So I think that's what the majority of the
All of you
people
are
who
here for
graduation.
We're showing our support, showing our love.
Yeah, so I know that we talked with Ms. Fluke about it first, and then we went and spoke with Ms. Embrick at the district office about the desires for all families to be able to participate and not be separated. I know that last year that they were given a few chairs on the floor and then the rest of the people had to sit somewhere else. So just, it's something we would like you to take into consideration, that the beauty of a small school is that everyone can participate and everyone can feel included without having to exclude grandmas or grandpas to sit elsewhere or other things like that that will have to happen if this larger class has to have their graduation in the gym. So I don't know whose decision that is to make, but we're appealing to you because that's what we would like. And so I know there are other families here that are requesting the same thing. Sorry, and I didn't say it. My name's Sarah Floyd. Senior.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I will share my
Appreciate all the
thoughts,
support.
and I did share this with a couple of the kids that came to see me. I feel like this is their graduation. This isn't our graduation. It's not the teacher's graduation, it's your graduation. And I think it would be a good show of support to honor the choice you have.
Dress accordingly.
I wore a swimsuit under mine.
I'll just wear clear ponchos over our clothes, you know?
We don't need to vote on it.
Okay, okay.
I'm Ricky Hoffman. If we just do the simple math, most people that I've talked to are bringing 8 to 10 people to the graduation. That's over 800 people. And trying to fit them in indoors, the heat, smells, just being comfortable, the elderly, just doesn't make sense. I grew up in the Dalles, bigger school. We always had our stuff outside, and it just made it better for everybody. And like somebody, I don't know who said it, it takes a tribe. We have grandparents on both sides of the family. We have siblings. There's a lot of people that put time and effort into our kids. And in doing so, they want to reap the rewards of seeing these kids graduate. So we are really asking that something happens that can make everybody comfortable and make it a great graduation for these kids. So
Thank you. I just want to add, I'm really proud of you guys. Like, when you believe in something and you want it and you did it the right way. So, good job.
I'm gonna text you.
What's that? It's not just my decision. It's a team.
Ryan Nelson. I agree with Ms. Zimbrick about how it's kind of our graduation. So I think we should be able to choose. I think that like at the beginning of the year, the class president should get it with their class and decide where they want to have it, inside or outside. Because then it's just kind of up to that class, and it's specific to them and special to them and how they want their day, whether it's rain or shine or however they want it. So like family and people can attend, because you only really, some people only graduate once. So it's a big moment for a lot of people.
I guess that's
Thank you, Ryan. Is there anybody else who might have something to bring before the board? All right. Next, don't have anything under reports and discussion.
I had a couple things though
Okay.
I wanted to bring up. So legislative, the short session was very short, and there were a few changes that will impact education. First, and exciting, summer learning grant was approved, 30 million. The original ask was 50 million, but 30 million was approved. So we will see funding come to support summer learning. Also, I know you guys have heard me talk multiple times about Senate Bill 819, the abbreviated day. It did see some amendments, some very common sense amendments, thank goodness. Number one, that kids that take a credit recovery class will no longer need to be designated as an abbreviated day, and we can get rid of that platform to have to address that. And also, seniors that are credit proficient and choose to do an early release for work release, things like that, will no longer fall under that abbreviated day. So those are two significant changes. And for us, for our district, that cuts out the reporting in half. We went from 30 plus down to approximately 11. So that was a big human resource time eater. So I'm grateful for that. And for you guys, there was a bill on the floor that board meetings had to be live streamed, requiring them to be live streamed. That failed. Board.
Ready?
So each is
Each
individual,
one
right?
has to be, we've got, what, 7 of them?
Okay.
All right.
Alright, here we go. Move for the renewal of 2-year contracts for all district licensed contractors for the 2024-2026 school years as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date.
Second.
The motion for the renewal of 2-year contracts for all district licensed contract personnel for the 2024-2026 school years as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments for board discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor for the renewal of 2-year contracts for all district licensed contract personnel for the 2024-2026 school years as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by nay. Motion is passed.
I move for the renewal of the 3rd-year probationary licensed staff to be considered contract for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date.
Second.
Who's second?
Speak louder.
I
Oh, you're
was
gonna
seeing-
say it,
I was
you're
seeing
saying it
one
to
of
David. Come on, you guys down there at the end, y'all need to pipe, y'all need to participate. The motion for the renewal of the 3rd-year probationary licensed staff to be considered contract for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments for board discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor of the renewal of the 3rd-year probationary licensed staff to be considered contract for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is passed.
I move for the renewal of the 2nd-year probationary licensed staff to be considered 3rd-year probationary for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date.
Second.
The motion for the renewal of the 2nd-year probationary licensed staff to be considered 3rd-year probationary for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments for board discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor of the renewal of the 2nd-year probationary licensed staff to be considered 3rd-year probationary for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is passed.
Move for the renewal of the 1st-year probationary licensed staff to be considered 2nd-year probationary for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date.
Second.
The motion for the renewal of the 1st-year probationary licensed staff to be considered 2nd-year probationary for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments for board discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor of the renewal of the 1st-year probationary licensed staff to be considered 2nd-year probationary for the 2024-2025 school year is recommended by the superintendent and presented this date signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is passed.
I move for the non-renewal of temporary contracts for licensed staff for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date.
Second.
The motion for the non-renewal of temporary contracts for licensed staff for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments for board discussion?
Did we have anyone under that?
No, there wasn't anyone, but I just went ahead and kept the motion.
So why do we even make a motion then?
I just went on there.
Cause I didn't see any.
It's practice.
Sure, just practice.
We're practicing.
There isn't any temporary.
We're just practicing.
We're practicing. We're going through them one
Stop
through another.
practicing. Here, you want an input, I'm giving you input.
Thank you, Roy. Your input is duly noted. The motion for the non-renewal, since we started, we have to finish. The non-renewal of temporary contracts for licensed staff for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date all those in favor? See what happens? You bust up the flow, Roy, and then, we have to start over from the beginning.
No.
the motion for the non-renewal.
No, you
Nope,
did call
all
for the
those
vote.
in favor. Hearing none, I call for all those in favor of the non-renewal of temporary contracts for licensed staff for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay.
Nay.
He's just practicing.
I didn't say it earlier.
Motion is passed.
I move for the renewal of
Do we have to
contracts
say these
for,
people's names?
no,
Okay.
okay, thank you, President. For administrative licensed personnel for the 2024-2027 school years as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date.
Second.
The motion for the renewal of contracts for administrative licensed personnel for the 2024-2027 school years as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments for board discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor of renewing contracts for administrative licensed personnel for the 2024-2027 school years as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is passed.
I move for the renewal of probationary contract for administrative licensed personnel to be considered second-year probationary status for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date.
Second.
The motion for the renewal of probationary contract for administrative licensed personnel to be considered second-year probationary status for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments for board discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor for the renewal of probationary contract for administrative licensed personnel to be considered second-year probationary status for the 2024-2025 school year as recommended by the superintendent and presented this date signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is passed. Whew. Right? Next on the agenda, that's your last green sheet.
Is there anything we need to discuss about
Is there
that
anything
one?
we need to discuss about the
No.
budget calendar?
Just that we need 2 budget committee members.
Okay.
If anyone's interested, you can see the calendar.
Can that not be employees, it has to be like community members, right?
I believe it has.
Yeah, it has to, we're looking for community
Yeah.
volunteers. Yeah, we can't have employees.
I move
Great
18 and
audience poll.
older.
What's that?
For what is it?
Budget committee.
An older budget committee. Here's the calendar.
What's the requirement question exactly?
Just you have to live within the school district boundaries.
You have to make jobs and meetings.
Yeah.
That's a big requirement.
Probably 1, 2 probably at the most.
Honestly, so the first one will be Monday, April 29th, and typically we get it done in 2 meetings. So then we have a meeting every Monday until the budget committee approves the proposed budget. Applications can be found at the district office.
They're online and at the district office if you're interested.
I
We
move
would
to-
want to get them in before the April board meeting so that we can vote on you being a budget committee member.
I move to adopt the proposed 2024-2025 budget calendar as presented.
Second.
The motion to adopt the proposed 2024-2025 budget calendar as presented has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments for board discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor of adopting the proposed 2024-2025 budget calendar as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is passed. Yeah. Future agenda items. Oh, look, it's number 7. Future agenda items will be an executive session at what time? At the district office on Monday, March 18th at
6:30.
6:30.
Sure.
Do I have to go into further detail about that?
No.
It will be an executive session. And Roy, you're bringing snacks.
Co-host.
Signify by saying aye. That's what I'm saying. Anything else?
Since we have community here, as part of our meet and greet for the candidates, that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday,
Correct?
and what time?
4:30 to
For
5:30.
community.
Community, 4:30 to 5:30, correct?
It will also be live streamed.
So we are not supposed to be here till like 4:30 for that.
No, we are not to
No,
be
you're
here at
not to be
all.
here, that's just for the community.
We meet at 6,
That's 6 o'clock.
not here. And we return here at 7:30, I believe. 7:15 maybe. But
6 or 7:15.
I think that whole agenda was emailed to you.
yeah, the whole agenda was emailed
I was
to you.
looking, I was like, well, double check.
I'm gonna get you to check your email, Roy.
Yep, you do need to go in and
I
check
was,
your
I
email.
was trying to look at it, but it's there somewhere.
Is there anything else? There being nothing further on the agenda for us to discuss, the meeting of the Willamina School Board is hereby adjourned.
Hey.